Alright. Trilby's done his business. Somewhat pale, but otherwise fine. Make sure he washes his hands. I washed my hands of grime, splashed cold water into my face, then dried myself quickly. The dining room was rather small and sparse. It seemed the hotel was only one step above a bed at breakfast. On to the kitchen. He still refused to open. Open door. It appeared to be locked, probably by a deadbolt on the other side. Damn it, well, we need a credit card for that. Use picks on deadbolt. Wink. Pick door. Yep. Alas. Look. The hallway was decorated identically to the majority of the rooms in the hotel. Warmly and pleasantly. Open door. Wasn't close enough. Look, the hotel bar seemed rather small, but then it was a rather small hotel. There were only 2 small tables and some kind of defunct arcade machine. Look, posters. 3 framed vintage advertisements for 3 brands of drink decorated the wall. If they were originals, they were probably quite valuable. Take posters. I'd been through this. I was no longer a thief. Damn it. Look, arcade. I think it was a pub quiz machine. A piece of white card on the screen declared that it was out of order. Take card. Look, window. The window offered a pleasant view of the nearby forest, the early evening sun hanging over the treetops. 2 small tables were arranged for guests. The bar was wood-paneled and outfitted with an adequate selection of drinks and glasses. Take drink. I didn't drink. There was no bartender. I couldn't reach the bottles. So many things to let me completing that request. Damn it, Trilby. Couldn't reach the bottles. Hop over bar. Change profession. Sigh. Open door. Look! The lobby of the hotel did its best to appear welcoming. The reception desk was well polished, and the pigeonholes, while empty, were recently dusted. Look, desk. Cheap pine affair and unadorned with papers or materials. Look, holes. Look, pigeonholes. The pigeonholes were empty. Presumably there weren't many people staying at the hotel. Open door. Look. The air in the hotel office was swimming with dust. The proprietors clearly felt that record-keeping was more of a formality than a necessity. In the corner of the room was a diminutive but sturdy steel safe. Look, records. Read records. Read book. Useless piles of hotel maintenance paperwork and correspondence, no doubt. Look, desk. Virtually nothing on the desk and it lacked a chair. Obviously, very little work was actually done here. Look, safe. The door was thick, but the lock was an old commercial brand. I was highly skilled in cracking. Open safe. I hadn't had cause to crack safes for some time, but my hands instantly went into automatic, the thieving mindset returning, like an old friend. His hands probably shake sometimes when he looks at things like the valuable posters there, like, have those, yes. When the job was done and the safe opened, my nostalgia faded into puzzlement when I found it empty. Just for once, I'd like to crack a safe that actually contained something. Is that so much to ask? Look, safe. Completely empty. I wasn't sure whether to be relieved or terrified. You know what? We're gonna stall. Open door, let's get some fresh air. It was a pleasant summer afternoon, with only a few clouds to add a picturesque feel to the clear blue sky. The beige frontage of the Clan Bronwyn Hotel was to the north. Look, hotel. Look, door. Hotel's main entrance was unusually large. I wondered the hotel building had in the past served other functions. Look, the hotel's side and rear yards were enclosed by a high wooden fence. Look, not holes. Peering through the nearest hole, I saw a plain, almost featureless backyard with a lawn that severely needed a gardener's attention. Lime fence. Too tall and sturdy for that. Terrence Railby here. Howdy! Eat pill. So yeah, our pleasant stroll continues. Look, not holes. Peering through the nearest hole, I saw a small enclosed yard with a workbench and tools. I like tools. Ah. You listen to their new album? Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. I'd appreciate, though, if, that primary song of the album didn't begin with a whirring of a saw for a minute. Piercing. Kinda hurts my ears. Speaking of it hurts, I was frankly astonished that Matthew Defoe's painting had survived the immolation of Defoe Manor. Certainly he created more than one painting, but this, of course, was the primary feature in the lounge where Trilby slept. As I stared at it, it seemed that the surrounding room began to blur until only the painting was in focus. I fancied I could hear the creaks and whispers of Defoe Manor's hallways. I felt a bizarre urge to reach out and touch the painting. As I stepped closer, I could feel sound becoming muffled and my head spinning, as if I were about to faint. My hand, as if pulled by an invisible string, reached out towards the clumsy brushstrokes. Defoe Manor, July 28th, 1821, in the year of our Lord. Matthew Defoe is 15 years old today. He's excitedly putting the finishing touches to a painting which his father commented on encouragingly. First time he has ever been supportive of Matthew's artistic leanings. Matthew is now convinced that his father is lifting from the mysterious depression that has plagued him for as long as either of them can remember. So, just as an aside here, this happens plenty in artistic works that have sequels, particularly sequels that were never planned, didn't think those would happen, be considered, but they can also happen even in those that were planned, can end up revising or retelling the stories of prior works. Such will be the case here. Maybe. Potentially, possibly. Aside is over. Now he intends to make the painting absolutely perfect before showing it again. Master Matthew, Sir Roderick has requested your presence in the trophy room. Thank you, James. And if you would be so good to inform him that I will now be retiring for the night. Very good, James. Gonna put this entire painting in my pants, like I'm playing Liberal Crime Squad. Ah, there you are, boy. Let me introduce my son, Matthew. Hello. This is my friend, Mr. Smith of Smythe. He's an expert on African tribal art. Well, just a scholar, hardly even that, just someone with an interest in the subject. And he has offered to assess the figurine I brought back from my travels. I wasn't aware you had a family, Sir Roderick. Is your wife home too? Regrettably, Belinda is no longer with us. Oh, I'm sorry. Quite all right, you couldn't have known. She succumbed to illness shortly after Matthew was born. I finished the painting I showed you, Father. Oh, good. What do you think of the piece, Mr. Smith? It's an intriguing little puzzler, actually. The design is reminiscent of a few Central African tribal gods I'm aware of. But to be honest, I've never seen anything like this before. May I ask how you acquired it? I'm glad you asked. It was 20 years ago when I was a younger man on my first travels in the Dark Continent. We were traveling along the west coast when our bearers spotted a ship that had run aground. It was an English clipper named the Sea Angel, and a short exploration revealed that every single crewman had just disappeared. Of course, we immediately sent a letter to the nearest embassy to report the finding. But the point is, it was on the lowest deck of the ship that I found this very figurine you see before you today. What an extraordinary tale, but how do you account for there being an African tribal carving on a British vessel? We were as confused as you are. It wasn't a slave-trading vessel, but there must have been a Negro on the crew. It has been a personal mystery of mine ever since. I was hoping you could help shed a little light on the matter. But there is more to tell. I haven't even begun to recount the strange events that have surrounded this artifact. Would you care for a glass of brandy? Thank you, that would be most kind. Matthew, fetch the brandy from the kitchen, and some glasses. Yes, Father. Alright. Look. Defoe Manor's kitchen was small and somewhat sparsely furnished, in contrast to the wealth of the house as a whole. Besides the sideboard, the only furniture was a large wooden table and a narrow drinks cabinet in the corner. Look, table. Above the sideboard there was a row of assorted utensils and knives, and someone had left a brown leather apron on the kitchen table. Look, apron. It was a tough, well-used brown leather apron. Matthew wondered which member of the staff had been using it. Take apron. Didn't want to interfere with other people's possessions. Look, knives. A selection of knives were arranged conveniently above the sideboard. One of them was Sir Roderick's old jungle machete, which he liked to keep there as some sort of joke. Take machete. You could fathom no purpose for the blades. Look, walls. Bastard. I know you don't like me pluralizing it. Look, door. There were 3 doors here. The one to the east led to the dining hall, and the rest of the house. To the north was the pantry, and to the west was the door Matthew had never been through, which was kept permanently locked. Look, cabinet. There was a large drinks cabinet in the corner full of mysterious bottles and arrangements of glasses. A bottle of fine brandy was clearly visible on the top shelf. Take glasses? Matthew took the brandy bottle and a pair of appropriate glasses. Hello. You haven't tried to speak to me in a while. I did another painting today. I showed it to Father, and he said it was promising. I keep trying to tell him about you, but he never listens. You haven't knocked for me in so long, I was beginning to wonder. Hey, do you want to see my painting? I'm just not sure how I'd get it through the door. Drink brandy. Matthew had no stomach for drink. Look, mask. The smoked mask, the sort of thing used by metalworkers, hung from the west wall. The gardener liked to keep it there as some kind of souvenir from his younger days. Open door. Mrs. Beaton didn't like it when people went into her pantry. Maybe we should save. Open door. Matthew wanted to show his painting to his friend first. Look, painting. It was a simple landscape of the view from Matthew's window. Look, door. Open door. The door was locked as always, but there was a substantial gap of about an inch at the bottom of the door. Look, gap. Shop at gap. Slide painting through gap. Slide painting under door. Since you don't understand gap, as you indicated. I'm pushing the painting under the door, okay? Just give it back when you're finished.
How dare you, sir? You intrude on my hospitality and insult my judgment?
That's Father.
Get out of my house, you worm!
I'd better see what's the matter. Ask friend about painting.
You described him as a friend, come on.
Look, Matthew. Look, self. Okay, great. Open door. Father?
No, it's you.
Father, what happened? I heard shouting.
That old fool told me some rubbish about my figurine. So the only tribe it could have come from all died in slavery years ago.
Come from all died in slavery.
Actually had the nerve to accuse me of buying from a forger.
I'm sorry, Father.
What are you apologizing for? Where's that damn brandy?
I've got it here.
Give it to me.
I'll go back to my room, Father.
Show me your painting.
Father?
You said you had a painting. Show it to me.
I can't, Father.
And why not?
Because...
Come on, why not? Out with it.
Because I gave it to the boy behind the door.
I see.
Father.
Go back to your room, boy. I have to write my diary entry.
Yes, Father. An hour's silence passed, and Matthew grew concerned about his father.
I'm super fucking pissed, but I need to write my diary, damn it! Dear Journal, everything was ruined today, and Christmas was cancelled here.
On July 28th. Strangely, the most disturbing thing had been Sir Roderick's reaction to Matthew mentioning the boy behind the door. In the past, raising this had usually provoked a violent rage or an instant flat denial. Matthew wondered what sort of anxiety was going through his father's mind. What was that? Father, what are you doing? Look, door. On closer examination, it appeared that the forbidden door was hanging ajar. Was Sir Roderick through there? Look through door. Open door. Matthew was confused by his own reluctance. He had longed to see what was beyond this door his entire life, but now given the chance, he was struck with fear to peek on the other side. He peered cautiously through and saw a set of rough stone steps leading down to some kind of basement.
I should have done this the moment you came into this world, demon child. May God forgive me for having a part in your creation.
Father? What are you doing?
You see what you've done. I didn't want him to see this. Do you see what you've done? Father, no! Oh! Ah! My apologies, dear boy, but I couldn't resist. You look so lost in that painting, I don't think you even saw me coming.
What?
Is everything all right, Terry?
Yes, everything's fine. It's just, for a moment there, I thought I saw... Never mind. Siobhan and I were talking about you after you ran out of the room. I said you seemed like something was making you terribly anxious. Frankly, I think that's still the case. I'm okay, really, I am. Well, if you're sure. I was certain my mind was not playing tricks on me. I had been back there, in Defoe Manor, looking through the eyes of Matthew Defoe. You know, that painting ended up, after the fact, being hung up in the lounge. And that idol also, after the fact, ended up being enclosed within that bell jar, which it's worth thinking about since every time someone touched that damn idol, they got possessed by Jean Defoe, right? So, at some point, one of the folks he possessed must have gently cared for that idol. I had seen the events that had created John Defoe. I saw his death at the hands of Sir Roderick, a terrible, violent end that would bring him back as that awful wraith. Where Roderick apparently beat him to death with the idol, though we know that's not true. From what the first game says, Roderick mortally wounds John. William does his best to try and bandage up John to save his life. And then when Matthew and Roderick were having an argument, distracted by each other, John puts on the mask, the apron, and the machete, kills them both, then goes upstairs. But somehow, seeing that event, it was clear to me that there was more to this than the ghost of one youth. There had been something very wrong about that idol, even before it was used to destroy John Defoe. A name stood out in my mind, the Sea Angel, the name of the ship on which Sir Roderick had found the figurine. I now had a lead. Professor, do you know anything about a ship called the Sea Angel? You know, it's funny you should mention that name. There is a really old wooden chisel among the Defoe Manor artifacts, and the words Sea Angel are carved into the handle. Where is this chisel? Out on display in the convention hall, next to the dining room. What's all this about, Terry? It's nothing. It's just a little side project my clients want me to get onto. Thank you for your help. No problem. Take care of yourself. Look, painting. I was frankly astonished that Matthew Defoe's painting had survived the immolation. Someone had stuck a piece of paper under the frame, perhaps for me to find. Look, paper. It was a page from a religious book I wasn't familiar with. I hear and close it with these notes. Victim 5, the child. 1. The fifth man who desired judgment was the child, whose father held the carving of the slave. The prince came to him, and was at once rightly pleased with what he found, for the house of the child and his father already knew well the name of the king. And as the prince watched, the child was thrown down by his father, and broken with the wood of the prince's soul. But as the child's body, mind, and soul began to drift apart, the prince held them together, and he said, You are the child, and to you I grant power, for I see in you the potential that will grant my father the king his greatest wish. You shall be not of the land of technology, nor of the realm of magic, but of both, and thus you shall form the bridge. And across the bridge the king shall come to bring his message to the men of technology. Through you, child, the bridge will come, and thus I name you the Bridge Keeper. And the prince touched the child, and he was the Bridge Keeper, and his three aspects were granted power, so that his soul would join with the prince's soul in the wood of the tree. And the Bridge Keeper rose up, and threw down his father, and threw down his brother, and truly did they know the name of the king. And into the house of his father went the body and the mind of the Bridge Keeper. Well, that sheet of paper is true. John Defoe gained the strength to kill his father, his brother, thanks to the prince granting power. Great. Wonderful. Glad someone just casually slipped that sheet of paper beneath the painting while we were staring out into space. Maybe it was a bed, right? Waka waka. Oh, that cunning bastard.